Today I want to talk about no-chill and why I actually don't use a cube for no-chill and why I think it's better to not use a cube for no-chill, and yeah, when it's actually better to use a cube for no-chill and what to think about when using a cube for no-chill to get the best beer possible. I hope to debunk at least some myth about no-chill and also what to think about hop schedule when brewing no-chill. Yeah, let's get into that. I'm DrHans, this is DrHans Brewery, my channel about beer and homebrewing. So if you want to learn with me how to become better at beer and brewing, consider becoming a subscriber. Let's get into today's topic, but first off, I need a beer and of course, gonna pour a beer that is brewed no-chill. This video is sponsored by BrewGoat and of course my patrons. So thank you BrewGoat, thank you patron. First off, this is a no-chill beer. It has been sitting, I think, for maybe 3 weeks now, clearing up nicely. So you can see, no findings were added to this beer, besides some protafloc in the boil, but yeah, no like gelatin or something like that. It has been clearing up nicely. This was poured out of, straight out of the fermenter actually. I used the Fromzilla all-rounder to ferment this puppy, and this is a Kölsch. And why didn't I use a Stange for this one? Because I didn't want to like nerd down the Kölsch street for this video, but I'm going to go do a grain to glass, so we're not gonna like talk too much about the beer, but yeah, just to get it out of the way, a Kölsch should be drank in a Stange. But if you don't have a Stange, yeah, at least go for like a Pilsner glass, because yeah, it won't be the same experience at all. And if you get a Stange, yeah, why don't you try it in a Stange and in a like a bigger wide open glass and see that there actually is a big difference. And of course, both of these glasses will be linked down in the description, but first link goes to BrewGoat, today's sponsor. It just struck me that maybe you are new to homebrewing and actually don't know what no-chill is. No-chill is when you're not actively cooling down your wort. After the boil, you just leave it to cool down by itself. Why am I brewing no-chill? I am brewing outside actually. I don't have a big huge space, so I'm brewing outside, and in the summertime I have, it's called like summer water, pumping water from the nearest lake. It's awesome. I can water my hops and I can use as much water as I want really. I will never run out. But in the winter time, of course, ain't no water from the lake, and as I'm brewing outside, I don't want to like run hoses outside. And I actually quite fond of no-chill brewing, because for me, when I brew, I regularly brew on Saturdays, and it shaves off like an hour at least from my brew day. When the boil is over, I just cap it and wait until tomorrow. But of course, there are a little bit work the next day, but ain't much, because I have prepared everything else, and the all thing I have to do is pour that into a fermenter, oxygenate it, pitch the yeast, and yeah, of course, there's some cleaning of the kettle, but yeah, my system is very easy to clean. A lot of talking. Cheers. And I know of some busy people that are actually splitting up this for 3 days, doing the mash at like Friday and the boil on Saturday, and yeah, pitch the yeast on Sunday. I really don't want to do that, but yeah, I really, like I said, enjoy doing no-chill, because for me it fits my routine. So why don't I recommend a cube for no-chill? The main reason is that I don't want to oxidate my wort, and it's less hassle, it's much faster not to, and of course less cleaning. So what I do is that I just take some food wrap over my kettle and put the lid on, and I'm done. You might think, but this will oxygenate the wort, but it's actually the other way around. If you're talking to like people that are into like aquarium fish tanks or ponds, something like that, they would tell you that surface oxidation ain't really happening so fast, but when you're splashing the wort, oxidation goes really, really fast. So if you're using a cube and splash the wort into the cube, it will get much more impact on the wort than if I just let it sit until the next day. If you still want to use a cube, get the hose down into the cube, and you could take like a regular like soda stream machine and put that on the other side of the hose, flush it out with CO2, and then slowly fill from the bottom up. If there's any like headspace left, you can try to squeeze that out with your knees. Yeah, you will get it when you try this. And you also can top up with boiled water, so you get as less air in there as possible. And yeah, what you normally do is that you try to like tilt that around so the hot water touches every surface inside the cube, so that it will be sanitized. Pasteurized. I of course always do like sanitize the cube, but yeah, maybe it's overkill, because yeah, the wort coming out is like boiling hot, so yeah, it will kill everything. If you're gonna save it for a long time, that's yeah, you want to use a no-chill cube. And I'm guessing if it's really, really hot, then it takes forever to get the temperature down. Maybe you should also do like the no-chill cube. Here in Sweden, I've always found that the next day it will have cooled down, and most part of the year too much, so I actually heat it up a little bit before I pitch the yeast. One myth is that you need to cool your wort down really, really fast so you won't get a murky beer. This beer ain't more murky than any other beer. And a cool thing is, when you're doing no chill, what you actually are doing is like cold crashing the beer overnight. So what you are getting out of the kettle is a really clear wort. If you're using a cube, you will of course stir everything up again. I often do like a steep with hops or flame out edition. All this will have settled down to the bottom. I have done that in a cube and it works wonderfully as well, but of course you will get a lot of hops with the wort going into the fermenter, and you have to strain that. So by not using a cube, you get a clear wort. But to be fair, I don't have a problem with murky wort either, because beer will always be clear. If it ain't like a hop bomb or a yeasty beer, like a wheat beer, and yeah, with a lot of proteins and floating yeast. Whew. Before we jump even further, a big shout out to today's sponsor, BrewGoat. BrewGoat is a Swedish homebrew supplier here in Stockholm, Sweden. They just opened their brand new store, which they are refining as we speak, but they also have their online store, which is open 24/7. So go and check them out. First link in the description. Thank you, BrewGoat, for your support. And the next part of this is a myth with some truth about it, and it has to do with hops and the bitterness and hop schedule, and how I think about that and how I calculate it. Brewing no chill will give you a way to bitter beer. That's not really true, but it all depends on what you are brewing, how you are brewing it. But the hop schedule often needs tweaking, so there are some truth in that. This beer had a 60-minute edition only. That won't give you a massive change, but if it's a like late hop beer, it will give you a massive change. The first time I brewed a no-chill beer, I actually used a cube, and I have been using a cube for a while, but yeah, I'm learning as I go, and I'm trying to learn different things by doing it in another way. And I found that not using a cube is way better, but using a cube works really, really great. If you're using my tips that I told a little earlier in this video, the first time I did do a no-chill brew, I did an IPA, and I added my hops. It was like a maybe 20-liter cube. I added 100 grams of high alpha acid American hops. Don't know. It might have been Mosaic, but I think so. No promises. With a hose down to the bottom, I racked the beer on top of the hops and let it sit hot until the next day. Poured it into buckets and fermented it. And at the end of fermentation, I added 100 grams more of hops. I'm quite sure it was a Mosaic beer, so it was Mosaic only beer. And yeah, that beer came out really nice. So that method works great. So do try that. You will get like an IPA bitterness, of course, because it's a high alpha acid hop, and it will stay hot for a very long time. When I make a beer recipe and schedule my hops for the no-chill, it's not so much that I mow hop additions around. I might do, but foremost I start to count from the end of the boil, and if there needs more bitterness, I will do like a 60-minute addition. What I want to do is to add 20 minutes of time in your calculator. Don't add like 20 minutes, something like that, to anything else, but add 20 minutes of time. So if you are having a 15 minutes addition, you count that as a 35-minute addition. If you have a 5 minutes addition, you count that as a 25-minute addition. If it's a flame out, you could count that as like 20 minutes. Of course, this ain't no exact science. So if the recipe should be like flame out and you want to tweak something around, you could like wait instead and to the temperature hits like under like 80 C and then do the flame out addition, and then wrap it, put the lid on, come back tomorrow, because it will still stay hot for a very long time. If you're taking someone else's recipe, it might mean that you have to tweak the hop schedule around, and you of course might have to ditch the 60-minute altogether and just work with the other hop addition, and you might even have to move them along even further. But I read some about this, where to ditch and where to move your hop schedules. You often don't really need to do that. If it's a flame out addition, it might be enough to just take the whole 60-minute addition away, or balance it out with the 60-minute addition. The 60-minute addition, of course, counts as an 80-minute addition, but you will see in your calculator, if you're using like Brewfather, Beersmith, or the Grainfather, whatever you are using, you will see that the difference between a 60-minute and an 80-minute ain't like so much in IBUs, but the difference between like a flame out and the 20 minutes, yeah, it's an enormous difference. So sometimes you have to tweak that around, but if you're looking at the bitterness to OJ ratio, you will find that it's not very hard to tweak your hop scheduling. And of course, it is a guessing game, but make it easy for you. Start with something simple. Add 20 minutes of bitterness to every addition and learn from that. And you will see that your beer will come out balanced as always. But if you were just to do no chill with a late addition hop beer, an ordinary recipe, yeah, your beer will come out too bitter. So guys, it's a really hectic time all over the world right now, and yeah, I'm really pushing myself to get this video out because there's a lot of things to think about. with your family, with my family, with my grandma, and yeah. But I'm hoping that my videos can be a positive distraction to the madness out there. So, have you tried No Chill? What are your experience? Please comment down below. If you aren't already, consider becoming a subscriber to hit that little bell and yeah, like this video. If you want, you can sign up for my mailing list for my webpage and you will get my free ebook for free. Yes, with 3 awesome recipes. Please check out BrewGoat, and I also want to give a big thanks to my patrons. If you want even more content and you want to dig into the big DrHans recipe book, why don't you check out my Patreon page. And if you're interested in this beer, Grain to Glass will come out shortly, and then of course we will do it in the Stange. Please be safe, stay smart, don't panic, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys, and thanks for watching. DrHans out.